Is it Anthony?
Yes.
How you doing?
Okay, how's it going? I have a question for you. You said that you was on your way to seminary and you started finding information out that discouraged you or changed your mind about Christ. Now, what document did you study? Atheism?
Atheism isn't a document.
No, I'm saying that that's the doctrine of atheists that you study.
No, there's no doctrine to atheism.
Well, you have a certain belief, right? Atheists have a certain belief, right?
Theism is the belief in a God or gods, and atheism is a lack of belief in a God or gods.
Right. So basically, you study something to realize that you believe nothing, basically.
I know you're trying to get to a point.
I'm going to try to help. I think he's just simply asking, what did you find on the way through your study that made you sort of change your mind about your faith in God? Is that correct? Is that
yes,
what
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Philosophical and scientific investigation about the nature of God, how do we define what we know,
right?
You know, what reason is there? And it kind of got to the point where after considering, you know, so many things, and it's, by the way, it's an investigation, you know, it's a research project that I never stop. I still, you know, study as much as I can about it, as many things I get my hands on.
I know. I understand what you're saying, but my thing is, you said you was a Christian. See, here's the thing. The reason why a lot of people turn to atheism and other religions because they're not satisfied. They see someone who confessed to be a Christian, and then they see that these people are doing certain things, so they assume that all Christians are this way or believe this way or that way. Now, I want to know, how many Christians do you people actually really know? I'm not talking about somebody that goes to church or somebody that's trying to do good. I'm talking about truly born-again Christian. How many of them do you actually know? See, you would be a fool to place your trust in Christianity. See what I'm saying? You'd be a fool to place your trust in Christianity. See, when Christ came and died, he died for all mankind. Christ never said trust in Christianity. He said he's the way, the truth, and the life. Now, what fault have you ever found in Jesus Christ? See, that's what you have to tear down.
Are you asking what faults have I found in Jesus?
Jesus Christ, yes.
Okay, first of all, we don't know for sure that he lived, and there's significant debate about whether or not he was actually.
So you don't believe Jewish history then? Josephus, who wasn't a Christian, mentioned him.
The Josephus passage, the Testimonium Flavius, is at best partially a late 4th century interpolation.
Right. But what I'm saying, that you got people who weren't followers of Christ mentioning him.
Not a single 1st century historian corroborates the story. But that's right. That's irrelevant.
No, it's very relevant because
it's irrelevant to me answering your question. So let me get to what I was saying real quick. There is a question as to the historicity, but even if you assume that this person existed, I don't find the Bible to be an accurate representation of what could have happened. And also, just looking at, let's say, the words that are attributed to Jesus in the New Testament really are his words. Those are things he said. I find them, for example, going through the Sermon on the Mount, to be a collection of really bad advice. Take no thought for tomorrow. You know, trust God to provide everything. That's really bad life advice in general.
Okay, if I tell you, okay, look, we're going to do such and such tomorrow, but don't worry about money or whatever. But that's not saying don't disregard money. You see, in that context, you're taking a narrow view that don't worry about anything, just sit and wait and God going to do it. That's not what he's saying.
That is what the Bible says.
What he's saying.
And in actuality, when somebody specifically comes up to Jesus and asks him, you know, good master, what must I do to be saved? And of course, Jesus right off the bat says, why are you calling me good?
Right.
But then his reply is, keep the commandments. Then Jesus says, the only thing you're missing is to go sell all your stuff and follow me.
You know why he said that, though?
Yeah.
See, this is what happened when people that are not Christians trying to interpret the Bible. What he was saying this is what he was saying. He knew that rich man, his life was about money.
I understand the parable that you're talking about.
And so what happens is, the guy, he was a rich man. You know, rich people doesn't like to part with their money. And so what he was saying was, in order for you to have a relationship with me, you're gonna have to do that. Sell it.
I understand that you can have an interpretation. I understand that you can have an interpretation which reduces that to metaphor. The point of that was that generally among Christians and among the doctrines of the religion, the way to salvation is based only on belief
in Christ, right?
But that's not the answer that Jesus gave in the Bible as to the way to salvation. And also in the book of James, James questions the doctrine of faith alone.
Right.
can faith alone get me to heaven without works? And the point of all of that is that there are contradictions there, and not just contradictions as to whether or not a bat is a bird or not.
Right. But
there are real doctrinal contradictions.
No, it's not faith. No, it's not a contradiction. See, if you are a child of God and you are a Christian, you're going to do work. You're going to do what Christ says.
You're coming with an ad hoc excuse saying that the real path is faith, and that if you're really faithful, your good works will show the faith. But that's not the complete nature of what's discussed in there.
Yes, it is. Jesus goes on. But I ain't gonna bog it down because I know you got other callers. But I want to ask this: what do y'all do about sin? What do y'all do about sin? Do y'all believe that sin exists?
I don't think I accept sin as a concept in the way that you're talking about it.
So how do you determine right and wrong?
I determine it based on the amount of harm versus benefit to me and to others.
Let me ask you this. If I disagree with you, am I right or wrong?
It depends on what we're talking about.
You're changing. Hang on. You're changing definitions there.
No, I'm not. I'm just asking her if I disagree with her.
You're changing definitions there because a minute ago you were talking about morally right or wrong, and in that last sentence you were talking about whether we considered you to be correct or incorrect. You cannot change right and wrong and correct and incorrect and try to make some kind of link there because it just doesn't work.
Let's talk about morally wrong. How do you determine what's morally wrong and what's morally right?
I feel that what is moral is a personal definition of what one accepts as decent behavior. My personal moral values have to do with not harming other people, not harming myself, not to try to do as little harm as possible and to try to benefit as much as possible.
So if I disagree with you, am I right or am I wrong morally? We're talking morally here.
Disagreeing with me is not morally right or wrong.
So there's no absolute then?
Well, if it's not morally wrong for a person to disagree with me.
No, what I'm saying, but somebody has to be right. Do you believe child molestation is right?
No, because it's harmful.
No, but what I'm saying, if I disagree with you,
right?
Am I wrong or right?
From my point of view, if you felt that child molestation was morally correct, I would feel that you.
What I'm saying is, I was trying to give the opposite opinion of what she's saying was right, and I said if I disagree with her. It doesn't have to be child molestation. It could be anything. But what I'm saying is, if I disagree with her, who's right?
No, because I said to me, morality is about your personal acceptance of what you consider to be right or wrong.
Right.
I can't dictate that to you.
So then there's no absolute according to you.
If there's an absolute that I think people have to believe or not believe, no. But now, will I intervene in an action that I believe is harmful? Yes.
You're saying that if one person says something is wrong and some person says it's right, what standard do you use to determine who's right and who's wrong?
To me, that's not even irrelevant. It's not relevant who's right or wrong.
You're kidding me.
No, to me, the only thing that's relevant is somebody harming someone. I'm going to be honest with you here. If you and I'm not saying that you believe this, but just as the hypothetical, if you really did believe that child molestation was fine, I don't. And give me a second to qualify after I say this, because it's going to sound a little bit bad at first. I don't believe there's anything wrong with you believing that. Now, if you go out and start molesting children, I will do everything I can to lock you up because you're harming people. What you believe is your morality, and I don't care what you believe and what your morality is. What you do, I do have a great deal of care as to what you do, because if you start hurting people, I will join with other people to put you away.
The most significant thing is about this isn't necessarily what somebody's personal morals are. It's what the society and the groups and the different social structures get together and agree they are going to enact as laws, etc.
Right. What is healthy for the culture?
Okay. Well, the reason why I said that, I said it to say this. So then slavery must have been okay then.
Well, according to your religion...
No, the law.
According to your religion...
Not my religion, the law.
Jesus said servants obey their masters.
That it was okay.
I'm going to put you on hold if you keep trying to talk over me. According to your religion, sir, slavery is allowed.
Yes.
In the Old Testament, not only is slavery endorsed, it specifically says who can be enslaved and who cannot be enslaved, and how you're supposed to go about marking them by holding their ear up to the door and driving a spike through it. It also talks about how much you're allowed to pay. If you go back in history when slavery was an issue in the United States, there were a great many of really down-home Christians who were very proud of the fact that their Bible supported slavery and that is what gives them the right to keep doing it. So, go ahead.
Okay, now, you just switched it. You said that once you get a group of people who says according to the law that it's wrong, then that's what you do. Now, slavery was considered a law. Okay.
No, you have a conflict there.
Wait, I didn't say that anyway.
I thought that y'all think slavery was wrong.
No, wait, I didn't say that if the law supports it, that I automatically support it. What I said is that if somebody's harming people, I will get with other people to try to stop that.
Right. But what I was asking both of you guys was, do you believe slavery was wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I don't support slavery.
This is what I'm trying to say. Then there was other people on the other aisle believe that slavery was okay.
Correct.
That's correct, and that's an example. That's an example of how two people can hold exclusive moral positions on something.
Well, who's right?
There's not a right or wrong. There's
telling me slavery? There's no right or wrong.
There's a whether or not you agree with it.
Right, and I don't agree with it, and I would try to stop it.
Right, so who's right, who's wrong? So what I'm trying to get you to see is, what standard are you using to this? You got to have a standard to use to determine what's right or wrong. You can't just say, I
use my own standard, and so do you, and so does everybody else. Yeah. And when you start associating with other people whose standards agree with yours, that's when you start making progress on issues.
Well, I see that you guys are not going to answer that because
no, I think we've answered it several times.
No, because the first thing when you say slavery, first thing you came out of your mouth was
I don't accept your proposition that there is an absolute right or wrong, independent of perspective of individuals.
You said there is or there isn't?
There is not.
You telling me? So in other words, then I guess what I'm listening isn't wrong. There is no absolute right.
If you're correct, there's no absolute in the way that you're trying to define it.
No, I'm just saying. I'm asking you.
My personal morality includes child molestation is wrong. That doesn't mean that is an absolute. That is my personal opinion on that particular issue.
So on that particular issue, there can be another side and nobody's wrong.
There can be another side, and I think they're wrong, they think they're correct, and it's those of us who also agree as a group that person is wrong and that particular thing is a crime against another person, and we are going to enact laws to punish on behalf of that. That's where it comes into play.
But I think also the big point here is that I would not endorse arresting somebody for thinking child molesting was correct.
No, I'm saying I'm not saying thinking it. I'm saying there are people out there. The reason why I asked this question, you guys, because there are people out there that actually believe that. See, y'all, I don't understand why I never hear y'all mention people who are Christians who are doing good things. Every time y'all mention a Christian, it's somebody who either taking money or doing something stealing.
Here's an example of the problem. I can say good things about Christians, but the Christians who I choose to point out and say he's doing a good thing, odds are you'd probably think they're not true Christians. Because from my point of view, I have no way of identifying who's a true Christian and who isn't.
Right.
All I can do is say this person claims to be a Christian, and I'm going to take them at their word, because none of you can provide an explanation which allows anybody else to define what is or isn't a true Christian.
Well, there are a lot of Christians out there that are doing good things, going and visit people who got AIDS and sick and visiting.
Right, and I don't think that religion is required for any of that. There's not a single positive social benefit of religion which can be demonstrated to be exclusive to religion. You can go feed the poor, you can help the ill and injured, you can do all of that without being any kind of religion.
You said somebody can be a Christian without being affiliated with any religion?
No. I said you can do all of those kinds of positive things. You can feed the poor and help the needy and do all that without religion at all. So when somebody says Joe Blow is a Christian and he's over here helping these AIDS victims, good for him. But I don't see that has anything to do with his Christianity.
I agree with you in that respect that you don't have to be a Christian to do those things.
Right.
Where it actually gets to is that when you die.
Well, when I die, I believe that nothing significant is going to happen. I'm going to cease to exist. If, in fact, I'm wrong.
So what happens to the life that's in your body when you die? What happens to that particular life?
Where does a candle go when it's blown out?
Well, see, that's my point. Y'all have never met anybody who have died and went, or as you say, into matter or whatever you were saying. I mean, that is not found. That's not found. It's like, that's a fairy tale. That's a fairy tale for grown-ups. Now, that's really a fairy tale for grown-ups.
What's a fairy tale for grown-ups?
That you die, and I heard her mention something about when you die, that energy in your body just, I guess, goes and something.
No, I'm sorry, that's not a fairy tale. That's science.
Who do you know that happened to?
Not to be rude, but we're going to go ahead and let you go because there's other callers that have been on hold for a while.
Okay.
You're welcome to call back. Thanks for calling.